Did you hear Mace's The Oracle Part 2? And
Yeah,
I know I'm super late on this.
Right. I played it when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, I'm a music guy, Mike. Like anything that really got some smoke to it, it's like I really don't want to speak on it unless it's like you feel like it's like, no, we should talk about it, Coop. And then I was like, so when you said you wanted to talk about it, it's like, oh well, I really ain't listened to it since the first time I listened to it. Let me listen again. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to snap it.
There's a lot to pull from the Oracle too, and again, speaking of mainstream media and that segue, I think the reason why I didn't listen to it off top because I was just listening to what people were saying about it. I heard Charlemagne say it was like whatever. He said it was what was the word he used? He said it sounded dated, and everybody kept harping on the use of auto tune and all that. For me, sonics and all those things really don't matter as much when it comes to, diss records or whatever people want to call it. Because I don't really feel like this was a diss record. This was him just, bearing his soul. And the message, Mace was going in as far as I'm concerned. And so there's a lot of things to pull from that. But first, I know we have a lot of revisionist history. I think that it would be fair to say, other than Biggie, Mace is probably the second most important bad boy artist ever.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I know Diddy is Diddy as an artist, but let's just keep it real. Without Mace right there beside him, I don't think that Diddy the artist does what Diddy the artist does without Mace there. It was a Puff Daddy and Mace thing. And I think that off of the chemistry they had, it gave Diddy that validity to rap to the public. You know what I'm saying? Because they were kind of back and forth with it. Mace is extremely important. Mace was incredibly close to the process. So him saying these things holds a lot more weight than Freddie from the band, And I think that a lot of these things that have been said about Bad Boy and the roster and how people have been done over these years, I think needs to be addressed directly, man, because even when Mace said what he said about the fact that Diddy held a show, there was a tribute for Biggie and didn't even give Biggie's daughter tickets and stuff. Like, those are things that, I remember when that happened. I think that she had to publicly go out there on social media to get that situation rectified. Okay. Because, there's a couple of things here. This could go down a whole path. But I know when we posted this stuff on According to Hip Hop, when it comes to Mace and even Freddie from the band, everybody goes the route, okay, you didn't reach your contracts, yada, yada. Let's be real. I think standard artist contracts, more than likely, if someone is told, someone in their early 20s or late teens is told they have a standard artist contract and they're going to sign the Bad Boy and they're going to blow up, yada, yada, they're going to sign it. Mm-hmm. That's fine, all well and good. I think the issue here is the fact that what Freddie was saying sounded like artists that didn't sign certain things were getting blackballed in their industry and weren't allowed to move on with their careers. Now, that's a whole different thing. Go ahead.
It gets so loaded when we get to these types of things, and specifically with this guy. I know, Mike, I've dealt with people and have relationships and have had relationships with people that have personally dealt with him, Mm-hmm. And so there's two sides to every coin. So it's like a lot of this stuff could and might be true. But it's also, like I told you, I also got confirmation directly from the source that he also took care of everything when Rob was passing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think a lot of what you're hearing from this record is quite possibly about the man who used to exist and maybe not the man that exists now, but I don't know. I know that that guy used to exist for a fact from people who have told me that have dealt with him directly. People have been signed to him and told me that directly. And I know for a fact, too, that, you know, when this recent situation occurred in the past year's time, he stepped up to the plate and didn't ask for any credit or acknowledgement, too. So much like one of the artists that we're about to cover, Tupac, there appear to be two sides to this guy. And unfortunately, because of him and his stature, you're going to see the bad side of him as a businessman taking advantage of artists, because quite frankly, that's what he's done. And there's really no way to dance around that, you know. But also in that, let's not act like he hasn't done good things as well. That's why I'm bringing up how he handled Rob's passing.
Blue Collar Hustle with the super chat. He says, I feel the underrating of Common's career is insane. The way he represents us black men as an MC and a celebrity is excellent personification. I agree. Okay.
The way he represents us as black men?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. We're about to rate Common. We can bring that back up. I don't want to lose my train of thought here because I do agree with what you're saying. But I think one thing when it comes to taking advantage of artists, or if we're talking about contractually, a lot of that comes from the top down. When it comes to whoever his distributor is at the time, and Bad Boy in their heyday was distributed by Arista. Those contracts were coming from Arista. Those are probably antique style contracts that didn't really update very well to what the modern artists should be doing or should be making. That's one thing. But the part that I have a problem with actually taking in is, would you say that the amount of people who've ever signed to Bad Boy Records, it's probably like under 30, right? Something like that. The amount of people who've ever had a Bad Boy contract, it's probably around 30 to 40 people or something, right? And we see, well, let's not count that because many of them were signed to something else, whether it be Block ENT and it was more of a partnership, or, you know, even when 8Ball and JG did it, they were signed somewhere else. I'm talking about people who signed straight to Bad Boy, like Bad Boy alumni. My point is, it should be a club to a certain extent. And you know, like, you know, from fraternities to different organizations, groups, they make sure that certain people who are a part of that elite group are looked out for. Whether that be connects, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the biggest problem, I think. Like, your contract, whatever, when you were an artist, a lot of that, Diddy might not have had as much control over as we think. Because, again, he's dealing with a distributor, whatever. But there's no reason that a singer from Total is allegedly working at White Castle, man. Like, it shouldn't happen. I mean, that was some years back, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're part of an elite group of people who have been signed to Bad Boy Entertainment. And those people, you should have at least a level of appreciation where it's like, and like I said, everybody's not going to work at the same rate. Everybody doesn't have the same brain, same work ethic. But where are the Bad Boy success stories after the fact? You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, okay, I mean, Sean has his success story, but we know, I mean, that had nothing to do with even the United States of America. That had to do with his ties to Belize.
Well, I actually was about to submit to you, how much of a success was Biggie truly financially before he passed? Because I told you, Mike, his plan, when he realized the money that Puff was getting versus what he was getting, and he was realizing he was the real man behind the machine and the workhorse, he was signed to a 6-album deal. That's how Ready to Die was a single. Life After Death was going to be a double. The next one was going to be a triple. He had the Junior Mafia album, Contractual Obligation.
Well, according to Gene Deal, who was one of the security people for Bad Boy Entertainment, he had conversations with Biggie back in the day, and he says that Biggie was planning him leaving. So, and based on the numbers and what Biggie brought to the table, I find that very plausible. I mean, I've heard the story that Big was getting offers from other majors, and what people have to understand is Bad Boy was a boutique label at the time. And hold on one second. I need to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But Bad Boy was a boutique label at the time, and there's only a certain amount of money that, Bad Boy could afford for somebody like a Biggie. So somebody like a Columbia could come in with a truckload for Big. And from what I'm understanding, that's what the Junior Mafia stuff was for. Mm-hmm. And he was building up those acts so he could get this distribution deal, and probably was going to have that deal with whatever said label. And when he played his contract up with Bad Boy, he was going to move over to that label.
Look.
And I found that very plausible. I mean, it makes sense.
Mike, he was assembling a whole team. Junior Mafia, Charlie Baltimore, Killer Cam. How'd he get wind of Killer Cam? Murder Mace. You see how it all starts connecting? And hold on. And much like, and this would have been a J before J thing. Oh, when Big would have left, where would have everybody went, Mike?
Yeah.
They would have went with the greatest MC walking around. They would have went with Big. Locks with Big. Mace, Big. Especially if he would have had Cam with him already. Charlie Baltimore, like, whole team. Yeah, would have had the whole team.
I mean, Big was a big selling point even for Bad Boy itself. And even when Entertainment started out, I mean, that was Cam and Charlie Baltimore's selling point. Big's here.
Yeah. But never underestimate this about Puff. Like, he did make Big into a star. This is like mm-hmm. Big is a rough rapper before Puff. Like,
definitely.
Of the cool G rap variety.
I'm going to say this, man. I'm going to say this. And, of course, Puff is a genius when it comes to that. I think he's one of the best, I guess, A&R on a traditional sense that hip-hop's ever seen. But I think with a lot of these stories out there from artists who were previously signed to his imprint, I think he's got to address this, man. And I think that he has to address this because he is the one that pushes for black excellence. And some of the things that he said on the Benny album, 10 More Crack Commandments and all that stuff. Like, we hear that, and we hear the whole brother love and this and that, but charity starts at home, man. And if the people whose lives that you were supposedly changed for the better aren't saying these things, it needs to be addressed to some extent. And I think Mace, his voice is a little bit more powerful because we've seen Mace see all the different sides of this. He has nothing but great things to say about G-Unit. I think I saw in an interview that he was saying that, yes, he was getting paid very well in G-Unit. So was Mobb Deep. So was MOP. And everybody was enjoying their time there. And again, 50 didn't have to sign MOP. 50 didn't have to sign Mobb Deep. And 50 didn't have to sign Mace either. Honestly, that was 50 giving back to people he knew were dope, people who were probably fans of their work, and getting them an opportunity while he was just on fire. And we haven't seen Bad Boy do anything like that. It's just the honest truth.
I mean, let's be honest about what he was doing specifically with MOP and Mobb Deep and Mace. He was picking up artists whose primes were beginning to fade, that major labels and even their subsidiaries probably weren't as interested in signing, and he made them viable again.
Similar to what Jermaine Dupri did when he signed Houdini. Like, why did it take an executive from Atlanta, Georgia, to go back and sign Houdini when New York was on fire? You had all these boutique labels in New York, and nobody signed Houdini?
Right.
Like, I get the connection between Houdini and Jermaine, but Jermaine's in Atlanta. Houdini put on not only for hip-hop, but for New York all together. And when New York is on top and, hip-hop is on top, period, like, it shouldn't take Jermaine Dupri to do something like that. Like, I think that's really cool what Jermaine did with Houdini and how he put, you know, Run DMC on the Let's Get Married remix, and what 50 did with MOP, Mobb Deep, and Mace. Like, that's dope. Not everybody does that, but I don't know. I think these things need to be addressed when we talk about, you know, black excellence and pushing that type of positivity, which I think is great. And I'm not saying that, you know, one person can ruin people's lives, but let's just keep it real. With the level of access that Diddy has, like, everybody shouldn't be saying this. Now, I get it. You can't please everybody, but there's nobody on that Bad Boy roster that's sitting here saying, nah, man, he good. We good. You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, you know, the path to righteousness, Mike, starts with atonement, contrition, repentance. So the path and the order for things, like the Nas album, it was written. So in terms of what he needs to do, that's already done. But once again, like I was told from somebody who knew him, oh, well, he picks and chooses who he loves. So he has a habit of taking care of the people who were potentially the biggest stars.
What about Mace? He was the second biggest star on Bad Boy. Mace, well, he kept the label alive. I don't want to say resurrected the label. That was Black Rob with Whoa, but...
Right. And that's part of the reason why he took care of Rob the way that he did at the end, that I imagine. But also, too, and here's what Mace needs to remember, and this is what I mean, like, it's, you know, it's funny and it's not wrong, but there's some truth on both sides. It's like, well, who made you a star and made you viable?
It's true. It's true. But I mean, let's not act like, you know, when it comes to the...
I mean, does Harlem World sell 4 million copies? If he goes the big L route and signs to Columbia, or goes and plays ball like Cam at college, or if he forms or stays in Children of the Corn and they call themselves, what is it, Murder Mace, Killer Cam, and Big L, they're going to sell 4 million units?
Do you think that he reaped the necessary benefits of selling 5 million records?
Oh, probably not. Ain't no way in hell. He's working for Puff.
And again, that's why we, you know, that's why we know Imaginary Play is clearly about Mace. You know, selling records being you, but still you want to be me. I guess for every buck you get, it's like 100 for me. You walking around like you got something on me. And that whole, you know, your single was 99 cents, mine was $4 type of thing, like, that's speaking to, you know, the type of contractual situations that were going on over there. And clearly the artists that were over there speaking out about them. I mean, the Lox have always been very vocal about their situation. And I actually kind of look at the Lox situation a little different now. Because when it was happening, I felt like, well, you're only one album in. You know, you don't really expect to get top dollar on your rookie contract. But I feel like now, just looking back at it, the Lox saw the writings on the wall, and they wanted to get out early before they were put in a situation where nobody else would get them. That's why they got the streets behind them to do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you offered that perspective, Mike, it was the first time. I mean, I never had a problem with them leaving because I never felt like they were a fit. You know, yeah. I think when Puff made Big fit, I don't think he even realized originally how all-time great and versatile and adaptable Big was. And I think he thought in his mind he could take other hardcore acts like Big or in Big's vein
and do the same thing.
Yeah. And it's like, nah, dude, that was a one-on-one shot. Because even with the thing, like, and this is what I mean, it's a one-on-one shot, everything with Big worked. Like, the thing with Mace didn't work. Like, dudes in the streets was like, hold up, what's up with the shiny shit? Like, Murder Mace. Like, what happened? Yeah. Like, what is that? The fuck going on, Mace? Like, and even the same thing with the Lox. And so it's like, with Big, he played it just right. He took it too far with the other street acts, and it didn't blend well. And part of why it didn't blend well, it's like, well, they're not Big.
Well, Big had a foundation, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys were coming out the gate with the shiny suit. So it was like...
Oh, see, that's what I mean. No, there was a Murder Mace before.
No, I'm saying, like, on their first Bad Boy album. Like, Big had a foundation with Ready to Die, which was very dark. And so we kind of looked at, I mean, even back then, we kind of looked at life after death as, oh man, he done came up. You know what I'm saying? Ashy the classy type thing. So that was the whole moniker anyway. So anything that we saw from Big that was shiny and all of that, it was like, yeah, that's what's up. That's happening for him. But when you come in the door shiny, it's a little different.
Well, hold on. Well, here's what I mean about it wasn't going to work as well. Well, they couldn't do that over because he did that with Big. Like, because here's what I mean. Like, the Juicy video where they got Big, like, in the streets of Brooklyn, the dude doing pull-ups.
Yeah.
The light thing, but they also got him chilling by the pool later on, celebrating, like, getting on.
Yeah, you couldn't really do that with Mace.
Right.
Yeah.
You got the Big Papa video. You know what I'm saying? Where it's Big in the club macking, like with the, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, those other guys didn't have it like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, he had it. And so Puff took it and made it build up into what you see. Because what you saw from the videos that Big was in, the singles, it was a progression. It was juicy. And so that's the come up. And then warning is, oh, I done made it and niggas is trying to come and get me. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a whole story.
It was a story. It played out. Like, you can't one-on-one idea, one-on-one guy.
Yeah, Big was special. Shout out to Marquis Davis with the super chat. He said, the homies, when y'all doing that Big review? They want to see us do a Biggie rating. Dude is my favorite rapper of all time. Check out the Biggie and Blackjack collab too. Big on the hook. Want an honest review. Have my grades ready. Okay. Yeah, we're going to check all that out, man. But yeah, I do think Puff has to say something about this because this is Mace. And I don't think that this is a clout chasing thing. And you know what? I don't even like using that term. If that's his story and that's a part of his story and it aligns with everybody else who was in his class, it's what it is. And it didn't really sound like anybody that would. I mean, look, we've heard that whole story where Mace said that Puff wouldn't sell him his masters back. He's offered to do so. And, you know, he's offered to buy it, and has gotten rejected for it. I think that there is a conflict there when you push black excellence or whatever that means, because I guess we need a definition of what black excellence really means to Puff, too. We can't just assume what black excellence means to us and think that there's the same, definition there. But yeah, you can't really push that narrative, and you're not allowing your former artists to actually purchase their own publishing. And then you have all of these unresolved issues with people. Like, I know they did that Bad Boy tour, and I don't know what the background of that was. It looked like everybody was happy then, but it seems like that just wasn't enough. And I don't know if that was put in place to appease people for the time being, or maybe there were some promises made to get that done that haven't been fulfilled. So,
I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. So it's clear that he is, not been good with how he has treated his artists financially. Yeah. And you look at the financial place that he's in, and so it's just like, well, dude, we all know it. Just come on and say it so we can all move past it at this point.
Because well, Fred's issue, like I said, Fred's issue, not to interrupt you, was interesting to me because he wasn't saying like, look, I don't have a problem with the fact that, I'm not signed to you or whatever. His problem was the fact that he shouted out Khaled and, Ross and all these guys first. I guess he knows these guys. And when he refused to sign something with Bad Boy, he got excommunicated, I mean, essentially from what he says, from the industry, where he can't go out there and even do his job as an MC.
So,
and that's a problem.
It is a problem, but okay, so I'm always going to be proactive about it from the sense that it's like, okay, you relied on them for that relationship, though. You get what I'm saying? So remember when we were talking about...
Not really relied on them for that relationship. It's one of those things where there wasn't a relationship before, But now that there is, it's like the same people that I used to be able to talk to and work with won't rock with.
So how about this? This is one of those reasons why, I guess, Mike, when you get on, even if you get signed to a label, you immediately go out into the rap world and start building relationships. Remember, I was.
But what happens though? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you build those relationships with somebody who has bigger relationships than that, destroys all those relationships that you thought you built.
No, I understand that. So, you know, you have to rule 4080. So
what does an artist do? What does an artist do in those situations though? Like,
you know, it's a nuanced circumstance. I mean, Mike, you're not wrong for like the questions that you're posing to me, and I'm trying to find the best way to navigate through it. It's like you have to be very meticulous. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a motherfucker sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to play coy. Sometimes you have to be a gangster. You know what I'm saying? You have to be so many different things of how you're moving when you're walking into the room and dealing with these people. And there's different ways.
And then they say you crazy.
Hold on. There's different ways of playing it depending on who you are. And here's the real fact of the matter at the end of the day. Your talent level is what's going to hold you most overall.
No, that's right.
Like, we've talked many times about how the media has treated Nas and how it feels like there have been efforts to keep him submerged, but he keeps rising to the top. And why is that, Mike?
The fans.
And but why are the fans?
His talent, yeah. His talent has kept him afloat, and his fans, the Nas fans, have kept Nas alive. And I think that, you know, I can't speak for Nas. I hadn't spoken to him, but I really think that the momentum that his fans are giving him is reinvigorated him, and you know, him crafting right now. Like, yeah, I think that the energy from you guys, the fans, that's what's keeping Nas going at this high level right now. So even with that being said, I expect big things from King's Disease 3 because these guys are just having fun.
But the talent is there. The talent gonna speak at the end of the day, because it's like, how about this? And this is what I'm really trying to say at the end of the day, Mike. Like, you got to be nice enough on the mic that even when somebody like that is talking about you, it makes people think like, hold on, should I not fuck with this? Hold on, no. You get what I'm saying?
But I mean, that's where Mace comes in, though.
You got to make people pause. Yeah. You got to make people pause. Yeah.
That's where Mace comes in at, though. And even with the Locks and them, I mean, their talent is what allowed them to get away from the Bad Boy situation in the time frame they did. It really helped, too, that DMX was doing what he was doing at Def Jam, and they were able to jump back, you know, with the whole Rough Rider situation. Rough Riders got Interscope distribution just kind of off of DMX momentum, so all of that kind of fell in line for them. Because they were already managed by Rough Riders even when they were on Bad Boy.
True.
And they just made a seamless move right when Rough Riders got that Interscope distribution.
And see, and this is what I mean, too. And also, too, it's like they kind of jumped too soon. You know? Like, of course, you're looking over there, you're seeing Big, and Big's making his second album, and you feel like you're about to go on this prime run. And, you know, then you got Big's Murder, and then Rough Riders start blowing up, X gets signed, and it's like those dudes are looking like, it's like, oh man, we signed into the wrong place a year too early. You know, it's like getting signed to the Bulls the year Jordan leaves the team. It's like you might win a ring, but it's just like you got that one ring, and then you're sitting here on the Bulls team, and it's like, hold on, it's like I thought I was about to be part of the rest of the dynasty.
The Godfather says, yo, Mike, did you hear that Nas' last 3 albums hit 2 billion streams on Spotify? Congratulations. Appreciate the super chat. Man, Nas is killing it, man, and I love the momentum that's going on when it comes to Nas and Hit Boy. There's some real magic, for lack of a better term, and I want to see some more visuals from Magic too.
It's really going.